Okay, welcome back, and we have our finals all set and ready to go. We've got Lights Out Ace on TJP Control against Spiffirific on Combre Aggro. Who do you like here, Colacoma?
I would bet everything I own on Lights Out Ace here. I think it's just Spiff is here with a deck to fight other unit decks, and it's done a good job against that, but I see very little way that it could interact profitably against the TJP deck.
You know, I would like to disagree with you, especially for the interest of coverage, but I just can't. The Combre deck was very impressive against the Rakano deck, but I think against a control deck, it is going to have a really tough time. The lack of charge is really going to give Spiff some issues. But let's jump into the game and see if Spifferific can prove us wrong.
So I think Spifferific's best chance to win is either getting in with some Aegis units, potentially using Lunar Claw to lock off some important spells. That's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, I definitely think he needs to come hard and fast at Lights Out Ace. But there's just so much interaction that Lights Out Ace can have to really put a stop to Spiff's aggression.
And sometimes the cards in one player's deck just matter more than the cards in the other player's deck. So, and I think that's the case here. But I think this is not a bad start for Spiff. He gets the Desert Marshal still takes the Aegis, which is kind of a big game, but he at least gets to keep his unit and get a little bit of damage in.
Yep, those all these early bits of damage definitely do matter. Having a condemnation and harsh rule and a wisdom though, it's gonna be a very uphill battle for Spifferific.
Ah,
Ooh, and
that's
another harsh rule and a desert marshal. I mean, Lights Out Ace just has it all.
meanwhile, Spifferific's Desert Marshal really doesn't do a lot.
Nope, and in fact we see just a justice sketch.
At least Lights Out Ace doesn't have a lot of his card draw or anything to get ahead. So there is that.
That's true. And he's not putting any pressure, right? Because Lights Out Ace is the control player. He wants to go for a while anyway. So Spifferific does have some time if he can put something together. But getting through another Harsh Rule and an Aurum Condemnation, even without two Desert Marshals, would be a big ask.
Gavel is a
Okay.
nice trick. I'm not sure it's going to matter, though. I feel like it's more likely that we're going to see Lights Out Ace just hard casting his Aids of the Haru.
I mean, that is possible, but the gavel stopping the Davia shenanigans is not something to slouch at. It's definitely something.
Sure.
Is it enough? Hard to say. Probably not. Javen is definitely big game if it can survive. Although those two Desert Marshals, well, one Desert Marshal now.
I feel like Javen, you have to
You have
wait
to
until you
activate
have...
it the turn you play
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Well, the thing is like if he uses a harsh roll to kill a Javen, you're okay with that. The worst case scenario is this Desert Marshal coming in and silencing before you get any value. But otherwise, I think you're likely to draw a card off of it, and if you don't draw another power, like that, you're just gonna wait another turn with the Javen, and that you can't wait forever against a control deck. I think you have to be aggressive, but as we see, it's an uphill battle.
What do you think of that play and not using the Helena to buff?
I don't mind it. I think it kind of plays around the condemnation a little bit. I
And
guess at a certain point, you just have to pull the trigger, but
and I think that's the
okay.
big issue. Like, there's no way that he's getting around the condemnations. I feel like you just it sucks, but you're taking it on the chin.
That is definitely a fair point. Oh, wow. So I was gonna ask whether the condemnation was gonna kill this Helena or not, but now I think very clearly gonna kill it because the weapon is just such a strong finish afterwards.
It's also worth noting again, Lights Out Ace is up to 10 power. He has an 11th, and if he wanted to play the weapon, which probably would be crazy, but he could have 12 power for his Aid of the Huru very soon.
Yeah, there are not a lot of misses left for Lights Out Ace to draw. Pretty much everything is big game at this point. So that's very scary for Spiff. We see another 6 health. This weapon is going to be absolutely backbreaking. And the Aegis is going to protect from the Gavel's Insight. Oh, he can't
That's
even cast the Gavel's Insight because he doesn't have a unit now.
can't Gavel's Insight target your opponent's units?
I think it's just yours, but I could be wrong about that.
Because he does have the Lunar Claw to break the Aegis, followed by the Gavel's Insight. I'm pretty sure you could target your opponent's units. And that the Gavel's Insight is essentially doing 20 damage
20
here.
damage. Yeah.
That's pretty good. But
That's
now,
got to be the best Gavel's Insight I've ever seen.
but again, he just plays 12 power, plays Aids of the Huru, and
You know, normally you're pretty happy when your opponent only draws a Primal Sigil. In this case, it was pretty devastating.
yeah, that went about as I expected it to go.
I do think that Lights Out Ace drew pretty well that game, and Spiff didn't. So there really is more room than that for Spiff to make it a little closer. But as you said, it is definitely going to be a tough fight.
The the other thing about this control deck specifically is it just feels very consistent with all the card draw, all the filtering. Um, like I feel like the Ricano deck could fight against it just with you know charge and getting damage in quickly, but these other unit decks they have to hope that the control deck stumbles, and the control deck just has too much filtering to stumble.
That is true. Although I do think the Dinosaur Nest can help for a lot of the early plays. We didn't see one in game one, but he dropped. Spiff had it on turn 2 this game, and that's going to be a big difference to his overall board position.
Yeah, it could certainly
Might
generate a lot of pressure for free.
It might even draw out a harsh rule for a 1-for-1 or even a 2-for-1. What do you discard here?
I don't know.
Lights Out Ace's hand is so good. I would want to keep everything. Discarding Davia. Wow.
So I'm guessing Lights Out Ace is expecting the game to go similarly to last game where he's going to get gavelled, and he's just saying, I don't care about gavel. I'm curious what he does here, if he, yeah, just leaves up his fast.
Looks like he's gonna take off the Aegis off of Terius and then block a dinosaur with the... No. Condemnation to take off the Aegis. Interesting.
I don't hate that. I think it's a little bit more power efficient, and the 2/2s do actually, have some trade potential on them.
So we see Harsh will come down and take out most of the dinosaur nest along with some other buddies. But Spiffirific has plenty of cards in hand to keep the pressure alive.
Yeah, it's going to be nice for him that the Furious gets buffed up by the Dino Nest as well. I bet Lights Out Ace wouldn't mind still having the Condemnation for when that's hitting for, what's it going to be, 9?
I think 8.
8.
But 11 damage this turn. That is some serious threat. And now, do you just kick the sketch, or do you progress
like
the board?
I like kicking the sketch. The sketch is one thing that Spiff has that Lights Out Ace really can't interact well with, that could potentially get some work done.
That's true. It really turns mediocre threats into giants. And that's something Lights Out Ace, if he doesn't have the Condemnation or a Harsh roll, which we see that he doesn't. I guess he does have Davia to get back one of those things. But Davia Harsh roll does not feel great.
Yeah, that always feels bad. I don't think that's the play here. I think you have time. You have double Desert Marshal. And you have some draw and discard with the Bottled Insight. I think you try and dig with Bottled Insight into something that you could Davia back next turn.
You draw 3 cards, I guess, and then Desert Marshal if you completely miss. No, Desert Marshal right away.
Do you double Desert Marshal? No.
Interesting. Okay, so we're going to save the Bottled Insight until the end of turn, rather than trying to find a combat spell to interact this turn. Another dinosaur nest. The second dinosaur nest, after the first one has finished, is pretty impactful.
I am certainly at least considering putting out a Gavel's Insight there.
Yeah, I could see that.
Just because, like, Davia into a Harsh Rule is a comeback play, and if he has something like Bottled Insight, it gives him, potential there too,
Sure.
And this is where the power of that sketch is coming through.
Yeah, doubling the Aegis unit. Definitely scary. Okay, Desert Marshal comes down to pop the Aegis and chump. We're still taking 10 damage, though. Nope, okay. Defiance as well. Now we're down to 6 damage. Oh, 3. Sorry, I thought the flyer was attacking too. Oh, 3 damage is not so bad. Okay, we're at 9. Now this has to hit something big.
Nope.
Does not.
Do you just run out the Davia as a harsh roll?
I don't think I do. I feel like I'm greedy, but maybe you just lose on the spot if you miss. Yeah, I don't know how many cards you can afford to draw if you do miss.
The other thing is, like, you can't just Davia and stun because he's got the double Helenas in hand as well.
Yeah, no, it looks like you're right. Oh, no. We're
Wow.
gonna Davia for just a wisdom.
So Helena just wins?
I mean, I can't see a line where Spiff doesn't win here. He's got the finest hour also.
One shot at a Defiance. Ah, so close!
Condemnation. Okay, we have a game 3. Spiff takes game 2. Dino Nest doing a lot of work, as well as the Justice sketch, actually.
The Justice sketch, yeah, I do think that's a potential, way to interact on an axis that LightsOutAce is not interacting well on. So I do think, and I guess that's true of Dino Nest as well. The making 3 units is nice, but like +2/+2 is a big deal too. So there's definitely some cards that I think interact well. But that being said, if LightsOutAce ever found a 8 of the Huru on any of those filtering cards, the game was just over.
True.
Double Dino Nest start though. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, this is going to be quite the game. That's going to be tough for Spiff to come back. Dino Nest on 2 and 3.
Spiff also won the die roll to go first, and that's not nothing.
So I wonder if we're going to see a Desert Marshal here. Takedown. Nope. Interesting.
I'm a little surprised we didn't.
I am too. I definitely would have silenced one of the killers and eaten the other one. But I guess we're just planning on harsh ruling this board? That's unfortunate. I don't know.
Yes, I think that is his plan, but it's...
So we have either Desert Marshal or Defiance to stop some of this damage.
I'm guessing Desert Marshal's gonna jump in front of the Furious.
Yeah, I could see that. Yep. Looks like you are correct about that. And we're going to only take 3. Not too bad.
He does get an Aegis unit that's going to survive through the harsh roll, though, so that's nice for Spiff.
Okay, so the harsh roll comes down. Dinosaur Nest doing dinosaur things. And look at this. Spiff has a very strong board right after a harsh roll.
And I guess that's just what Spiff is saying. If you have another harsh roll, so be it, but I'm just going to flood the board and we're going to town.
Yeah, and I think this is the right play. I mean, if LightsOutAce had a harsh roll, the game would be over and we'd be done. But I do think that as the aggro deck, you have to just kind of slam, and sometimes your opponent will have it, but sometimes like this, they will not. And LightsOutAce is really going to have to scramble here to restabilize this board.
Double Defiance is pretty nice. Plus, he's got the Condemnation later on as well.
That second Defiance was definitely huge, yeah.
Yeah, being able to play both on the same turn is... But he's not...
But we didn't.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that.
Wow.
So now do we Davia Wrath? I think we do.
I mean, you have to.
He's
There's
he's
no
empty,
world.
yeah.
There's no world in which you don't Davia harsh roll. Yep, and there it is. The infamous suicidal Davia. Okay, and Spiff is still drawing gas. We've got a 4/4 attacking, although with a Condemnation and a Defiance, Lights Out Ace is not too worried about that. It will create another weapon that we'll have to deal with in the future, so it's likely we just Defiance here, even though it's not power efficient.
Yeah, I do love the Priestess into Priestess. Just building a bigger weapon.
We do see the Defiance come down. And
Lights Out Ace.
Everybody's just
not
playing power
either.
and saying go. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Okay. Wow. Terius with a weapon. That is... Oh my god, Lights Out
No,
Ace.
he's gonna gain so much armor!
And you gain the armor even through the Aegis, right? So he's gonna... Wow. 14 armor here.
That was insane.
What a huge draw from Lights Out Ace.
Another Terius. He's got...
Okay,
Lights Out Ace
another power.
But, you know, that's 12 power. That's 8 of the Huru range right there.
It is 8 of the Huru range. You're not excited when you're Spiff, but you're not super sad. He's not doing anything yet. Oh man, that's terrifying. Wisdom off the top gives us Flicker and Davia. Is there anything left for Davia to do besides Wisdom?
I don't think so. But
so
Wisdom
likely
is not
we
bad,
just draw
so.
2 cards here. Yep.
And
then there's a plating. Although we did lose a fair bit of the armor that we had accumulated, down to 7 armor. And we're going to take some damage this turn as well.
Spiff is also drawing a lot of power, though, so...
Yeah. When
okay. That's
game.
Game over right there.
So close. Yeah, that's kind of the nail in the coffin. 4 cards, 2 owls, stun your board.
Yep.
And that'll do it. All right, Lights Out Ace is our champion. Congrats. Well played. Spiff put up a hell of a fight, though, I have to say. Winning game 2, and, I mean, he played it really well. It was much closer than I think either of us expected.
Yeah, So, yeah, so congratulations to Lights Out Ace for an excellent win today. So he wins $100, half of which is provided by us from the misplay, and half of which is provided by Gibbons Plus Plus, very generous to support us, as well as, I believe, who else is sponsoring? Is it Cassandrith and Telemokos, as well as Direwolf Digital themselves?
Yes, so thank you to all of our sponsors, Gibbon Plus Plus, Cassandrith, The Misplay, Telemachus, and of course Direwolf Digital for the World Seat. Congratulations to Lights Out Ace. $100. That's a nice chunk of change.
Yeah, yeah. And next week we have our first Throne event. So for anyone else who is interested in getting in these tournaments, they're free to play, and it's a nice introduction if you're just getting into the competitive world. Some low stakes gaming that, hey, you could even make it to Worlds with.
Yep, this was a great tournament. Thank you guys for letting me join the cast, and excited to see all of the fun things everybody brings to our Throne tournament next week.
Yeah. And I think that's it.